Can you tell the story about the terrible audition?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of those, believe me. You know, I did the movie Casino, and there was a big casting director, really big, from Martin Scorsese, and I had met her, and I had, like I said, I had 2 lines, and I got my SAG card. And then maybe about 4 or 5 years later, 6 years later, I was on The Sopranos. I hadn't seen her since, and I said, you know, now I kind of know what I'm doing, you know. I'm going to show her what a good, better actor I was, you know, now, you know, because I thought I knew what I was doing. So it's really hot. It's like in June. It's humid. I sweat like I'm doing now, you know. And I decide for some stupid reason to take the train as opposed to a cab. And by the time I get to the office, I am soaking wet. I mean, I am drenched, man. My hair, I go in the bathroom, I'm trying to clean up, and then she puts me on tape. And it was the goddamn worst audition in the history of auditions. I'm not lying. And it was for that movie Jiggly. Giggly, remember that movie? Ben Affleck. It's a crappy movie, too. And it was just awful. I mean, just awful, which, you know, then taught me, and, you know, she didn't say anything. I know when it's good. You know when you do well. You know when you don't do well. You got to be honest with yourself, you know. And, yeah, that was really bad. Really bad. Yeah, you know, it could always be bad. Steve Buscemi told me a story. He auditioned for a movie years ago, Tin Men. And he read, and they said, okay, well, do this, do this, do this. And he did it exactly the same way. And he looked at the director and he said, I just did it the same way. He said, yes, you did. They gave him all notes. He did it exactly the same way.
We talk about that idea with adjustment, that sometimes when they give the adjustment, they just want to see if you can adjust.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, you know. They tell you, you know, slow it down, a little meaner. They'll give you some notes. And that's part of getting the job as an actor. You have to think on your feet, you know. Otherwise, you're not the guy for the job. You know, another thing that I learned, you know, I did this movie. I wrote a book called Nicky Deuce. It's a kid movie. It was on Nickelodeon. You could get it on iTunes or whatever. It's a good movie. You know, it's a if I must say. But I exec produced it, but I didn't have all the say, you know. And I did have a lot of say with the casting. And this was the first time that I had really even looked at it that way, you know, because I'm always the guy auditioning, not the guy auditioning people, you know what I mean? So I got all the, on my computer, they sent me all the auditions, you know, and there was a lot of them. And what I realized was there's a lot of good actors. And so there's a role of the dad. And I looked at 5 people, and all 5 were great in their own way. But some just wasn't the guy. You know, you can't always be the guy or the girl, even though you had a good audition. You're just not that guy. You're not the person we had in our head. We're not the person that was on the page that we wrote about. That's not the guy. Sometimes you want the guy, you know, you want him to go, well, this is the guy. I know this is the guy, but he just can't do it. And that happens a lot. And I really didn't realize that so much. And you could go in, have a great audition. You're too big, you're too small, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're blonde, the other guy's blonde. I remember Sopranos, girls auditioned for FBI agent. Girl got the job, they hired a girl earlier in the day, blonde hair, another one blonde hair, another one, okay, let's get her. 3 girls, somebody says, oh, wait a minute, they all have blonde hair. Okay, the 3rd one's out, put the other one in. This close. Another time, guy auditions, a friend of mine's a director, tells me, guy sits down, he's perfect. He looks to the producer, female, and he says, that's it, we don't even have to look at anyone else, this is my guy. She goes, oh, he looks too much like my ex-boyfriend. I don't think I could spend 3 months with him. Doesn't get the job. So there's a lot of that. That's the reality of things, you know. You know, you could do everything right and you still don't get the gig, you know.
That is some bad luck.
It happens. And then there's the other term where it's good luck. It was good luck for the person who, the next person, right?
So The Sopranos ends after, or you're on it for 6 seasons.
I was on it for 6 seasons, from '99 to 2007.
Did they tell you were going to die?
They told me I was going to get killed. They always told you, they called you. They would call you or call you into the office. We had a read-through. We used to have a read-through before every show. And like a day or two where every character in the show, whether you had one line or, you know, a lot of stuff. And it was a big table, about 50 people, the entire cast for that show. And you would read the script without interruption from front to back. And then a lot of times the creator, David, would say, you know, so-and-so, can I see you? And then they would tell you that you were going to get whacked on the show. And it was very sad because not only you off a great show with your friends and material, you're getting fired, basically. You know, I mean, you know, you don't want to think, yeah, that's the way the storyline goes. Yeah, but I still got a mortgage, you know. So I made it to the next to last episode. But, you know, once you get into the whole season, you got paid anyway, so it didn't bother me so much. But they told me, they called me and David Chase came to my house. It was like a real hit. He knocked on the door. You know why I'm here, right? I said, I guess. You know. I guess. So that's how I got my news. His assistant had called, David's coming over. I said, all right. You know, the boss is coming to your house. It's not good news.
Right. So once you hear that, because you went back into a series pretty quickly, right? I mean, yeah. Then about 6 months later, I got into Secret Life of the American Teenager, which I was very happy about because it wasn't a mob guy. Listen, I'm not going to play an English professor. You know what I mean? I'm a blue-collar guy. I know my limitations. I know I'm very much a realist. And it was just a suburban dad. So I liked that she sent me 3 scripts. Brenda Hampton, who did Seventh Heaven, great writer, great person. And I read the scripts. Actually, my daughter was, I think, 14 at the time. I was going to ask if you could actually.
Yeah, and I told her to read it, and she liked it. I asked her to read the stuff, and I was 5 years, 109 episodes. It's a good show.
So talking about the things that are from your real life versus the things you have to make up, you had a 14-year-old daughter at the time, but you're playing the single father of a teenage son. So is that something you and your acting coach worked on? What are the challenges of a single?
No, the guy that I played was very, very liberal, very, I mean, he let everything go. He was very wealthy. He was a really good guy, but he was the most patient man. I'm nothing like him at all. There was some acting going on there. He married a hooker. He was not judgmental. I married a hooker. I married another girl. My son was 15. He got a girl pregnant. He put the school on fire. You know, it was very patient. But it was all in the writing there. She had, Brenda Hampton, I don't know if you saw Seventh Heaven, and then created Secret Life. Written over 350 episodes of television. Okay, 11 years, one show, 5 years, the other show. She had a thing. The actors act, the directors direct, the writers write. Like, in other words, mind your own goddamn business, do what you do, and stay out of it. She would not put up with anything. She would put up with no bullshit, no anything. She very much believed that. They you know, obviously, the director's directing a scene, you know, you want input. Most actors want some kind of input, but stay out of the writing, stay out of the stuff, you know. Where some actors tend to stick their nose where it don't belong, you know.
Did you feel that it was, it's always culturally easier for you to work for her after you'd worked for David Chase?
Well, you know, David was great. It was all on the page. It was just different, just completely different. David, you could work out a scene. The scenes were more complicated. The Secret Life was basically talking heads. We're having a conversation, a long conversation, long monologues. It was 2 different things. You know, it's just you got only a couple of takes. You had to be prepared. If you're not an actor that could do that kind of stuff, and not everyone can, know their lines, come in, hit your mark, do the thing, get in closer, move in closer, you're out. Almost like a soap opera. Almost. Not as quick, but almost as quick.
I've heard Nathan Fillion talks about this, and Julianne Moore has talked about this, that working in that way really gives you chops as an actor.
I mean, you know, you got to learn a lot of stuff. There's no time for screwing around. There's some movies where, you know, they're shooting a page a day. I mean, the Secret Life, we were shooting 8, 9, sometimes 10 pages in a day. A soap opera, I did a soap opera once, scariest day of my life. I agreed to do a play, what was it, General Hospital? I think General Hospital. Guiding Light. And my agent called. He said, they want you to play yourself, where 2 kids pick me up at the airport, something like that. So I go, oh, yeah, okay. And then as we get closer, I didn't realize it was 25 pages. And I wasn't prepared, and I went, you got to get me out of this, man. I can't. I've been too busy. I haven't, I didn't realize. And he said, I can't get you out of it. So for a few days, I worked day and night and learned my lines, and I went there, and the soap operas are completely different. I give them a lot of credit. They are the hardest working actors ever. And I went in, and we got through it, They told me if you screw up a line, curse, so they can't use it. That's what I was told from the actors.